There is a specific kind of stillness that comes late at night, when the hum of the world dies down and the house begins to settle. In these moments, it's hard not to notice a certain weight that wasn't there before. It isn't a loud or sudden change. It's more like the way a backpack feels after a long walk. You don't notice each individual ounce being added, but eventually your shoulders begin to ache. We look back at old photographs, or we listen to the stories told by those who came before us. And there is a sense of a different rhythm, a sense that the ground beneath their feet was a little more solid. It wasn't that life was perfect or without its own sharp edges, but the basic math of existing seemed to make a different kind of sense. Now, there is a quiet, persistent feeling that we are pedaling faster just to stay in the same place. We wake up, we move through the day, and we manage the demands as they come. But at the end of it all, when the lights are low, there's a question that lingers in the air. Why does the simple act of living feel so much heavier than it used to? Why does it feel like we are always catching our breath? If you look at an old receipt or a ledger from 50 years ago, the numbers look like a foreign language. But it isn't really about the numbers themselves, it's about what they represented in terms of a life lived. There was a time when a trip to the store was just a trip to the store. You bought what you needed, you came home, and you didn't have to perform a mental audit of your entire month to account for a bag of oranges or a gallon of milk. These days, the grocery store feels different. We stand in the aisles, looking at the labels, and there's a quiet calculation running in the back of our minds. It's the slow rise of the tide. A few cents here, $1 there. It doesn't feel like a crisis in the moment, but over a decade, it changes the way we move through the world. It changes the way we think about a Saturday morning. We become more careful, more deliberate. We start to weigh our needs against our wants with a precision that our parents might not have recognized. The ease has been replaced by a subtle, constant vigilance. There used to be a clearer boundary between the world of work and the world of home. When the whistle blew or the office door closed, that part of the day was over. There was a space, a breathing room, where you could simply exist without being productive. Now, work has a way of following us into the quiet corners of our lives. It sits in our pockets. It glows on our nightstands. The expectation has shifted from doing a job well to being constantly available to the idea of the job. We find ourselves checking messages in the middle of a meal or thinking about a task while we're trying to fall asleep. It's an expansion that happens so slowly we almost didn't notice it. But the result is a shrinking of our internal landscape. We have more tools to be efficient than ever before, yet we seem to have less time to actually rest. The stability that once came from a steady career feels more like a tightrope walk. We are always preparing for the next shift, the next change, the next demand. The breathing room is getting smaller. A home was once a place to start a life. It was a foundation, something that you could reasonably expect to achieve if you worked hard and stayed the course. It wasn't just about four walls and a roof. It was about the feeling of belonging somewhere, of having a stake in the world. Today, the idea of a home feels more like a distant peak. For many, the milestones that used to signal the beginning of adulthood are being pushed further and further into the future. We stay in apartments longer. We live with roommates well into our 30s. We wait for a someday that feels increasingly elusive. It's a strange kind of delay. It's not that people don't want these things. It's that the math no longer supports the dream. We see the houses we grew up in, and we realize that if we were starting today, we couldn't afford to live in our own childhood bedrooms. It creates a sense of being unmoored, of floating through a life that hasn't quite begun yet. We are waiting for the ground to stop moving. There is a fatigue that comes not from physical labor, but from the sheer number of decisions we have to make every day. In a world that is more expensive and more complex, every choice feels like it carries more weight. We have to decide which bill to pay first. We have to decide if we can afford the repair on the car or if we can stretch it another month. We have to compare prices on things that used to be trivial. This constant state of calculation is exhausting. It's a background noise that never quite turns off. It's like trying to navigate a maze where the walls are always moving. You find a way to manage, you find a rhythm, and then something shifts. A price goes up, a benefit is reduced, a new fee appears. We spend so much of our mental energy just trying to maintain in our current position that we have very little left for anything else. We are tired in a way that the sleep doesn't quite fix. It's the fatigue of a mind that is always looking for the next hidden cost. We are a resilient species. We find ways to adapt, we find ways to make it work. We cut back here, we stretch there, and we learn to live with less of the things we once thought were essential. There is a quiet dignity in that adaptation, but there is also a sadness. We don't talk about it much. We just keep going. We wake up, we face the day, and we do what needs to be done. We find joy in the small things. A cup of coffee, a walk in the park, the way the light hits the floor in the afternoon. These things don't cost anything and they become our anchors. But the reflection remains. We wonder what it would be like to live without that underlying pressure, to move through the world with a little more lightness in our step. We don't have an answer and we don't have a plan to change the world. We just have this moment right now in the quiet of the night. We are still here. We are still moving forward. The weight is there, but so are we. The story doesn't end with a solution, it just continues. One quiet observation at a time. We often talk about the economy as if it's something happening far away, in tall buildings or on flickering screens. But the economy is actually found in the small, quiet choices made at the kitchen table. It is found in the decision to fix an old pair of shoes rather than buying new ones. It is found in the way we look at a repair manual instead of calling a professional. There is a subtle shift in the craftsmanship of our lives. 50 years ago, things were built to be repaired, and the time required to do so was considered a natural part of the week. Now everything feels disposable, yet replacing it feels like a monumental task. We are surrounded by objects that are cheaper to manufacture, but more expensive to maintain in the long run. This creates a strange tension. We are living in a world of high-tech convenience, but we are working with tools that feel increasingly temporary. We find ourselves holding on to the old things, the heavy mixers, the solid wood chairs, not just for nostalgia, but because they represent a kind of permanence that has become rare. We are trying to anchor ourselves to a time when things stayed put. There is a specific kind of silence that follows the arrival of the mail. It used to be a point of connection. Letters from friends, a magazine, a postcard from a distant place. Now the mailbox often feels like a source of minor tremors. White envelopes with transparent windows, each one containing a new calculation, a new adjustment to the budget. We develop a habit of letting them sit on the counter for a day or two. Just a little more time before the reality of the numbers has to be integrated into the week. It's not that we can't pay them. It's the cumulative energy it takes to manage the flow. Everything has a subscription now. Everything has a monthly fee. Life has been broken down into small recurring payments that never truly end. It's like 1,000 tiny threads tied to your wrists. Individually, they are weightless, but together they limit how far you can reach. We are managing a web of obligations that our grandparents never had to navigate. The simple life has become administratively heavy. The concept of saving for a rainy day feels different when it feels like it's always drizzling. In the past, there was a sense that if you lived modestly, you could build a safety net that would catch you. There was a margin of error. Now that margin feels thinner. We do everything right. We work the hours. We skip the extras. We follow the rules. But the cost of an unexpected car repair or a dental bill can feel like a setback that takes months to recover from. It's the loss of the buffer. When you live without a buffer, the world feels sharper. Every noise the engine makes, every flicker of the furnace, carries a weight of anxiety. It's a low-level static that hums in the background of our celebrations and our rest. We aren't asking for wealth. We are just looking for that sense of a solid floor beneath us. We are looking for the peace of mind that comes from knowing that one bad break won't change the trajectory of the next year. We spend a lot of time looking at screens, trying to find ways to be more efficient. There are apps for budgeting, apps for side hustles, apps for finding the cheapest gas. We have become the managers of our own survival in a way that feels like a second unpaid job. 60 years ago, you didn't need to be a financial strategist to survive a quiet life. You worked your shift, you went home, and the world largely left you alone. Now we are expected to be constant optimizers. We are always looking for a way to trim the edges, to find a better deal, to make the paycheck stretch just a few more inches. This optimization takes a toll on the spirit. It turns every moment into a logistical problem to be solved. We lose the ability to just wander, to just be. Even our hobbies are often evaluated for their potential to be monetized. It's a persistent pressure to be useful at all times, because the cost of being idle feels too high. We are reclaiming our time 1 minute at a time, but it feels like a struggle. We spend a lot of time looking at screens, trying to find ways to be more efficient. There are apps for budgeting, apps for side hustles, apps for finding the cheapest gas. We have become the managers of our own survival in a way that feels like a second unpaid job. 60 years ago, you didn't need to be a financial strategist to survive a quiet life. You worked your shift, you went home, and the world largely left you alone. Now we are expected to be constant optimizers. We are always looking for a way to trim the edges, to find a better deal, to make the paycheck stretch just a few more inches. This optimization takes a toll on the spirit. It turns every moment into a logistical problem to be solved. We lose the ability to just wander, to just be. Even our hobbies are often evaluated for their potential to be monetized. It's a persistent pressure to be useful at all times, because the cost of being idle feels too high. We are reclaiming our time 1 minute at a time, but it feels like a struggle. If you sit in a park and watch the world go by, you can see the exhaustion in the way people walk. It's not a dramatic fatigue. It's just a slight slump in the shoulders. A way of looking at the ground instead of the sky. We've become very good at pretending that everything is normal. We go to work, we buy our groceries, we pay our bills, and we say we are doing fine. And in many ways we are. We have comforts that would have seemed like science fiction 60 years ago. We have the world in our pockets. But the comfort doesn't necessarily lead to ease. You can have a high-definition television and still feel the walls closing in. You can have a fast car and still feel like you're not going anywhere. The harder life becomes to maintain, the more we value the moments that are completely free. The silence, the cold air, the feeling of a heavy blanket at the end of a long day. We are finding beauty in the leftovers of a world that has become very demanding. There is a common story we tell ourselves, that things will eventually get easier, that once we reach a certain age, or a certain income, or a certain milestone, the pressure will finally release. But for many, that point keeps receding. We look at our parents' retirement and it looks like a different world. It looks like a time when you could finally stop running. Now, the idea of stopping feels dangerous. We wonder if we will ever truly be able to let go of the plow. It's an open-ended question. We don't have a map for this new landscape. We are the first generations to navigate this specific blend of high technology and shrinking stability. We are learning to find meaning in the effort itself rather than the arrival. We find it in the quiet morning before the house wakes up. We find it in the steady rhythm of our own breath. We are still here, and there is a kind of power in that, even if it's a quiet one. In the end, maybe it's not about the numbers at all. Maybe it's about what we've lost in the pursuit of keeping up. We've lost the luxury of being bored. We've lost the ease of a simple afternoon. We are living in a time of great noise and great expense. But tonight, as the world sleeps, the cost doesn't matter for a moment. The house is quiet. The air is still. We are more than our bank accounts, more than our jobs, more than the bills waiting on the counter. We are the observers of our own lives. We see the changes, we feel the weight, and we keep walking. We don't know where the road leads or if the burden will get lighter. We just know that the sun will come up, and we will find a way to meet it. For now the darkness is enough. The quiet is enough. We are just here in the middle of a story that is still being written, wondering what the next page will bring. We have become a generation of fixers, but not in the way our grandfathers were. They fixed engines with wrenches. We fix our lives with spreadsheets. We spend our evenings moving digital numbers from one column to another, trying to find the hidden leak in the boat. It is a quiet, mental labor that never leaves a callus on the hand, yet it leaves a deep weariness in the mind. You can sit perfectly still in a comfortable chair and still feel like you've run a marathon by the time the screen goes dark. We are managing the complexity of a world that has outpaced our natural instincts for survival. We look for the simple life, but even simplicity has a price tag now. The organic garden, the handmade clothes, the time to sit and think. These have become luxuries for the few rather than the baseline for the many. We find ourselves buying back the things that used to be free, one small transaction at a time. It's a strange paradox to live in a world of such abundance and feel so profoundly stretched. There is a sense that we are always living in the meantime. We tell ourselves that we are just getting through this month, or this year, or this particular crisis. We are waiting for the moment when we can finally stop and breathe, when the costs will level out and the pressure will fade. But as the years pass, the meantime starts to look a lot like the life itself. We realize that the stability we were promised is not a destination we arrive at, but a state of mind we have to manufacture out of thin air. We learn to find our peace in the middle of the struggle, rather than waiting for the end of it. We find it in the small rituals, the way the kettle whistles, the way the dog sleeps at our feet, the way the light changes in the kitchen as the evening turns to night. These moments are not expensive, and they cannot be taken away. They are the small territories of grace that we defend against the rising tide of the world outside. The landscape of our neighborhoods has changed its character. The local shops where the owner knew your name are being replaced by vast, empty parking lots and automated kiosks. Efficiency has won the battle, but we've lost the texture of the day. We move through these spaces quickly. There's no reason to linger in a place designed for speed. When everything is a transaction, nothing is a relationship. We save 5 minutes at the self-checkout, but we lose the 5 minutes of human recognition that used to ground us in our community. This isolation is a hidden cost. It makes the world feel colder, even when the heat is turned up. We are surrounded by thousands of people, yet we are all navigating our own individual economies in total silence. We are efficient, we are productive, and we are profoundly alone in our efforts. We wonder if the time we saved was worth the feeling of being just another data point in a system that doesn't see us. There is a quiet dignity in the way we carry on. We don't talk about the weight much because everyone we know is carrying a version of it too. It's the shared secret of the modern age. The feeling that we are all pretending to have it under control. We see each other at the gas station or the post office, and we nod and we smile. We ask how it's going, and we say busy, which has become a code for trying to keep up. It's a polite way of acknowledging the pressure without having to name it. We are a tired people, but we are also a patient one. We have a capacity for endurance that is rarely celebrated. We keep the lights on. We keep the children fed. We keep the wheels turning, even when the fuel is expensive and the road is rough. This endurance is the true backbone of the world, even if it never makes the news. It is the steady, quiet heartbeat of a million homes. The things we were told were investments sometimes feel like anchors. The education, the car, the house, they were supposed to be the tools of our freedom. Instead, they often dictate the terms of our survival. We are tethered to the choices we made when we were younger and the world seemed a little more forgiving. We look back at our younger selves with a mix of envy and pity. They didn't know how much the price of entry would rise. They didn't know that the ladder would have its rungs removed while they were halfway up. But regret is also a luxury we can't afford. We have to work with the life we have in the world as it is. We find ways to repurpose the anchors into foundations. We find ways to make the small spaces feel like home. We are learning to define success, not by what we accumulate, but by how well we can weather the storm without losing our sense of self. In the middle of the night, the numbers don't seem to matter as much. The bank balance is just a ghost on a screen. What matters is the warmth of the room, the safety of the locked door, and the person sleeping in the next room. We are reminded that the best things in our lives aren't actually things at all. They are the moments of connection that happen in the gaps between the work. They are the jokes told over a cheap dinner. They are the way a hand feels in yours during a difficult conversation. The world tries to convince us that our value is tied to our productivity, but the night tells a different story. The night says that you are enough simply because you are here. It says that your value is inherent, not earned. We listen to the silence and we try to believe it. We try to remember that we are humans living a life, not just consumers managing a budget. We look at the older generation and we see a kind of confidence that we struggle to find. They seem to belong to the earth in a way that we don't. They have gardens that have been there for decades. They have furniture that has seen 3 generations of birthdays. Our lives feel more temporary. We move for the job. We change our lives to fit the market. We are flexible, we are adaptable, but we are also slightly rootless. It's hard to grow deep when the soil is always being shifted. We are trying to find new ways to be rooted. We find it in our friendships, in our shared struggles, in the communities we build online or in the quiet corners of our cities. We are planting gardens in pots because we don't own the land, but we are still planting. We are still reaching for the sun. We are making a life out of the fragments we've been given. The weight of the world is a heavy thing to carry alone. But when you look around, you realize that everyone is bracing their shoulders. We are a sea of quiet effort. There is a comfort in that realization. It doesn't make the bills much smaller or the hours shorter, but it makes the heart a little lighter. It reminds us that we aren't failing. We are simply navigating a difficult time. The struggle is not a reflection of our character, but a reflection of the world we've inherited. We can be kind to ourselves. We can stop expecting the impossible. We can acknowledge that it is hard and that being tired is a natural response to a world that never stops asking for more. We give ourselves permission to sit in the dark for a while and just be. We give ourselves permission to be unfinished. We don't know what the next 50 years will look like. We don't know if life will become easier or if we will simply become better at carrying the weight. History is a long series of cycles, of rising and falling tides. Perhaps we are in the middle of a long winter, waiting for a spring that we can't yet see. Or perhaps this is simply the new climate and we are the ones who are learning how to live in it. Either way, there is a certain peace in letting go of the need for an answer. The answer doesn't change the reality of tomorrow morning. What changes things is the way we treat each other in the meantime. The way we offer a hand, the way we share a meal, the way we listen to the stories of those who are also tired. We are the architects of our own small mercies. There is a beauty in the persistence of life. Despite the costs, despite the hours, despite the pressure, people still fall in love. They still have children, they still make art, they still find reasons to laugh in the middle of a hard week. This persistence is a quiet rebellion. It is a refusal to be defined by a ledger. It is a statement that says our joy is not for sale, and our spirit is not a commodity. As we turn out the lights and head to bed, we carry that rebellion with us. We are more than the sum of our debts. We are a collection of memories and hopes and quiet moments of grace. We are the keepers of the flame in a world that can feel very cold. We sleep so that we can wake up and try again. And that is enough. The world doesn't stop, and it doesn't wait. It keeps moving, kept alive by the billions of small, invisible efforts of people just like us. We are part of a long, unbroken chain of human beings who have looked at the moon and wondered why life feels so heavy. We don't have the answer tonight. Maybe there isn't one. Maybe the point is just to keep asking the question, to keep noticing the world, to keep being here. The weight is still there. The morning will bring the same calculations and the same demands. But for now, there is only the sound of the wind, the ticking of the clock, and the slow rhythm of the night. We close our eyes, and we let the world go for a few hours. We are still here, and for tonight, that is all we need to know.